So, just letting you know that I am not planning to do a lot of talking. So, can we divide up the groups so that we can have equal members in the groups, the circles? So we only have 3. So maybe some people in the back move over here.
Or just join.
Or join, yeah.
Whatever's in there.
Okay, so we're not doing groups of 3 in your circle. Okay, tell about one kind. Okay, so in your group, this is time for you to interact. So if you're antisocial, you're gonna be social. So you're gonna tell each other of one kind thing that someone did for them this past week and what the response was. So what was your response? Okay. So a kind thing that someone did for you, and what was your response? Share the show. Okay. Okay, so in your group, somebody must have done something nice for you. What was it, and what was your response? Was it or thanks or whatever? Okay, what was it? Okay. And okay, so we're gonna just start with this group. You're gonna quickly share, and then you pass the mic.
Well, I would like to share my story. Well, it's not this last week, maybe it was a couple of weeks ago. Jackie's friend from elementary school, well, the kids were classmates. She went to Southern California a couple of weeks ago, visited Disneyland. And when she was down there, she went to a lobster place in Rosemead, bought a bunch of lobster and dropped it off at our house for Jackie, but also gave us a bag, which was really unexpected. So we were thankful, and our response was we bought her a box of Godiva chocolate.
Sorry. You should have said that. Oh my God.
They're both good, okay? They're both good.
I don't think any one story of gratefulness is better or than the other, but we had a variety of a surprise flower delivery from a family member. We had gatherings at work. We've had invitations to travel to Hawaii. We've had we've had a spouse cook dinner. We've had family members cook dinner, and then we had gratefulness for time with people who are no longer with us. We also had a gratefulness for our ability to see things of beauty on our earth. There it is.
Good to have the pastor back in. This happened maybe a month ago, right after I had my hip surgery, and I was really wanting to get out and get some fresh air. And so Randy and I went down to Visiting by the Bay and had lunch, and next to us sat a beautiful young lady who looked kind of like Angelina Jolie, and we didn't talk to her because she was too pretty. But anyway, we were very aware that she was there. Anyway, so after we finished, Randy and I finished our lunch, he was packing up the stuff, and then we had this packet of tartar sauce, and it fell on the floor, but it somehow bounced, and I got tartar sauce all up and down my pants, and so he jumped, because I was an invalid at that time. He jumped off his seat and he knelt in front of me and he started wiping off all this tartar sauce. And this lady I noticed was laughing her head off, and she was But anyway, so then she left and we started to pay our bill. And then the waiter said, "Oh, that lady took care of your bill for you." And so that was, subsequently we found out it was Random Act of Kindness Day. But we didn't know at that time. And the message she had for us was just go and enjoy the day, which we did. So it was, we had ordered everything under the sun, and so it was a very expensive lunch, kind of anyway, and we really appreciated that. So it was all, and actually all the tartar sauce got wiped off, washable pants and all. So it was good.
I don't even think this is the best story. But anyway, last Friday, the adult fellowship had a meeting at my house, and we all had a good time. Everybody brought food, and we sang Christmas carols and ate bountifully. And after everyone left, I found a card hidden somewhere. And it's from someone who never comes to my house empty-handed. So I appreciate her friendship, and I appreciate her thoughtfulness and her holiday wishes. And she's sitting right behind me.
Harry has dual citizenship. He comes from another church, but he's coming to our church here pretty regularly, so he's thankful for that. And then Clarence Allison, his daughter, needed a room, so he took 2 truckloads of stuff to clear up for her to move in. And then Franklin wanted prime rib, so he had more than 1 pound of prime rib with his son. Paul Fong is very happy because he's got 3 generations of people that still want to come from all over the country to come here. My being thankful was my son saw in a snapshot in Texas high school prevented a shootout, and they really found a gun. So I think they prevented a shootout. Thank you.
So there were a number of people that had Christmas dinners and to celebrate the season and to give thanks and for their service and stuff like that. Liani announced her retirement, and Lori gave a gift to our sister-in-law. George declined and deferred to me. And I took 9 large construction workers to dinner at Hanoi Kwan, and they just ate and ate and ate. And Kathy and I gifted them not only their paychecks, but a Christmas stipend. One of our people who's been with us for 16 years has 13 family members who got visas to come to the United States, and so they're all up here. And so that was something very thankful for. Anyway, so that was it.
So yeah, we're going to be talking about being grateful. So again, think about gratitude in the Christian life. So that's what we're going to talk about in our group. We're going to do the little things differently because I like to shake things up. So we're going to read our Bible verse. So you have in your hand, but we're going to do it differently today. And I'm going to just call on people, and they're just going to come up and say yes, they will do it. So Albie will come up, and he will be the narrator. Paul Chuck is going to be Jesus. And Don Lamb is going to be representing the lepers. So everyone else is going to just close your eyes and listen to the Bible verse. Okay, so So Albie, Paul, and Don, if you guys come up, you guys are gonna just take turns, and you could just read from here. It's color coded. So, yeah. So you're gonna read Jesus. So you're gonna you're gonna read the blue. Okay. And then Albie's the narrator, and he's gonna read everything in black, and you're gonna read the red. Okay. Okay. So everyone else, close your eyes and listen to the story.
No peeking, here we go.
Listen to the Bible verse. Sorry,
Yes.
Jesus heals 10 men with leprosy. Now on his way to Jerusalem, Jesus traveled along the border between Samaria and Galilee. As he was going into a village, 10 men who had leprosy met him. They stood at a distance and called out in a loud voice,
Jesus, Master, have pity on us.
When he saw them, he said,
Go, show yourselves to the priest.
and as they went, they were cleansed. One of them, when he saw he was healed, came back, praising God in a loud voice. He threw himself at Jesus' feet and thanked him, and he was a Samaritan. Jesus asked,
Were not all 10 cleansed? Where are the other 9? Has no one returned to give praise to God except this foreigner?
Then he said to him,
Rise and go, your faith has made you well.
All right, thank you. Thoughts? When you guys listen to it, okay? Think about just, sometimes we get too busy. We're just reading. We skim, right? So I cause you to just think about it and have different voices to narrate it, right? Just to think about that. And again, 10 were healed. 1 came back to give thanks. Okay? All right. So in your on your chair, you have a copy of the Foreigner in Samaria. So I want you to just take some time to look at that and read about the fact of who were Samaritans. And so just take some time to read that, okay? And if you don't have a copy, I'll give you one. It's on the map. Has everyone had a chance to read? Yeah. So the question to you is this. How do you think the disciples, who were all Jewish and who knew of the animosity between Jews and Samaritans, might have felt about the fact that it was a Samaritan, a foreigner, who came back to give thanks? Okay, so this is true fact versus the parable of the Good Samaritan, right? This is Jesus heals 10 lepers, and a Samaritan comes back to give thanks. So, thoughts? How do you think you felt?
Well, the disciples are probably wondering how come the Jews weren't more religious,
Yeah.
if given their teaching,
Yeah.
whereas the Samaritans supposedly
Yeah.
have a different religious background.
Okay. Anyone else?
I think gratitude should surpass, your geography and religion and stuff like that. there just did not seem to be enough gratitude from the other 9.
But I would say, maybe the overriding thing here is that when Jesus gives this healing to these 10 people, did he really expect thank you? Was that expected? Did he expect that of them, or did he give it freely?
Good point. Yeah.
I think Jesus did not discriminate.
Yeah.
He did not pay favoritism. So he wasn't prejudiced. So his love goes out to Gentiles and Jews. I think that's it.
Oh, it's dead.
That's it. Okay. All right, the mic is dead, so I'm going to talk. All right, so this half of the room, answer this question about you are the 9. This half of the room, you are the 1. Okay? So why did you do what you did? So why did you come back and say thank you? Why didn't you come back and say thanks? Hypothetically.
I think they were just so excited about Leper and it was something but the fact
Well, did he notice the picture that he just gave thanks?
He's 22 years in this country. He still has cousins and nephews. Well, I don't see. I asked him, do they like it in America?
Someone to write these words.
Anybody in this side of the room?
because they were following directions. They were told to go to the priest.
Okay, told directions. Okay, that's good. Okay. Anyone else?
I think, just human nature, we're all selfish.
Okay, selfish. Okay, so one said selfish, one said told what they're supposed to do. Anyone else?
It says here, the last, since they were presumably religious Jews, so they were Jewish, they most likely came from families perhaps of means, and they were probably, when we were saying that maybe it was something they were not taught to be thankful, growing up. And they were so happy that they were no longer, in their condition, they went home to be with their families or whatever.
Okay, the second question, but do you think they were, even though they were too busy to come back? Yes or no? I'm not.
Well, yeah, leprosy, you got cured, yeah, you better be sure.
Yeah. Good point, good point. Okay.
Dude, why'd you do that? Now I'm normal.
Okay, how about this side of the room? This side of the room, what do you guys think? Why did you go back? Did you feel obligated?
Grateful, right?
Okay.
Well, I mentioned something that sometimes when you have a sense of entitlement,
Yeah.
you think you deserve it, so you're not going to express it. But in this case, the Samaritan probably didn't have that sense of entitlement, that they're truly grateful that what he received.
Anyone else?
She got a point there that you talk.
It's in line with what Nelson was saying.
Yeah.
When you're represent a persecuted community,
Yeah.
and you have nothing, or your history, or there's extreme discrimination, and you're a subject to a miracle,
Yeah.
and so you're grateful for everything when you have nothing. Same line, entitlement, affluence, or yeah.
Well, the other side too is that I've been jobbed all my life, and I deserve this. I deserve to be cured because you screwed me all my life. So, I mean, just you can be grateful, you can be.
One could. One could.
Well, the other part that would be real obvious too is if he's Samaritan, maybe he didn't have a priest to go to.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right.
Nothing else to do.
All right. So turn to the other side of the page, and I want you to just read what is important for you to know. And in your group, why don't you discuss, what is the healing as an act of grace? And then I want you guys to then read, so what does this mean in our lives? And then in your group, why don't you discuss that relationship between faith and gratitude? So I'll let you guys talk in your groups. And if you can come up with a symbol or a tagline for your group, that's a stretch, but we don't have to do that. But I just thought if something comes to your mind, like, bing, sure. Okay, let's go back to and on the microphone, so let's come back together. So I'm not really going to talk about some of the answers. I think each of your groups talked about, what it is. I think it's a personal decision for you about your act about faith and level of gratitude. But I also want us to think about sometimes that do we ever err on that side of we feel entitled, so God really should, Do we feel like the older brother on the prodigal son? Because I do everything and I don't get squat, versus, or do I feel like I'm, Martha and I'm doing stuff and my sibling Mary doesn't do squat, right? Do we feel entitled, that kind of thing? Or, are we truly grateful for some of those things? Okay, so what I've done is given you a card. So I'd like you to take out a pen, and I would like you to write a prayer to God of gratitude. As this is the end of the year, I'd like you to spend some time to really write a prayer of thanksgiving to God for gratitude. And think about it, specifically what God has done for you, and just be thankful and have gratitude. So I'd like us to spend some time now, because I know if you don't do it now and I just give you the piece of the card, it's going to go, you're not going to do it. So I ask you if you just take out a pen or borrow someone with a pen, take that time, write a prayer of thanks and gratitude to God. And I ask you if you can, use that as your prayer this week, especially Christmas through New Year's, say that as your prayer. Okay, so let's spend some time to do that, and then we'll close together in prayer. So for those people, okay, does not matter how long. I'm not asking for a maximum word count or minimum word count. But, you know, whatever it is, whatever you're grateful to God for, you know, jot that down. So when you have your quiet time or whatever, you can pray a prayer of gratitude to God. Yeah. Oh, yeah, there you go. What I'd like you to do is, I have extra cards here if you want to wrangle, if you want to write more, or if you want to get other people to start thinking about that in your family, you know, as an activity for your family. So I have them up here. Gratitude is a muscle that sometimes we are good at, sometimes we're not good at. So again, my challenge for you is just, you know, sometimes we, you know, may just fall into the habit where God knows what we're thinking, that kind of thing, and so we gloss it over. Spending that time to really thank God for things does not need to just come at specific festivals or holidays like Thanksgiving, or whatever it might be. You know, practicing gratitude is that outward of faith that you can have to other people, and then always just be grateful for everything that happens in your life, good or bad, to thank God about, right? Because sometimes, you know, when bad things happen, it might be for something else later on down the road that we don't know about, because we always say that hindsight is 20/20. But in that moment when you're feeling lousy, acknowledge that you're feeling lousy. Thank God that at least I'm feeling something, and then, you know, move on, right? I mean, it's easier said than done. You know, you need to have that, you know, pity party or whatever you want to call it, right? You need to go through it, but then you can move forward, right? So I just want us to challenge that, because I think sometimes we get too busy and we forget about that, and we really need to spend the time to be thankful to God. So I want to thank you all for bearing with me today. So let's bow in a word of prayer. God, I thank you so much for who you are and what you have done for us, especially this time of Christmas where you sent your Son down to earth to be our Savior and to role model what we should be like. I ask that you just continue to nudge us to have that attitude of gratitude. And I just pray that during this Christmas time that we can show that gratitude to other people, both people we know and people who we don't. In your name we pray, amen. Thank you, everyone. Merry Christmas.